Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz. I will be doing a garage review of this thing, the Rheinmetall Skorpion G. Let me just open the container and ba-da-da-da, credit boosters that I will never use. Yes, I'll be doing a garage review of this thing, the Rheinmetall Skorpion G. It is a Tier 8 German tank destroyer, which is a rather mobile tank destroyer. It's pretty good, but it is also pretty bad at the same time. I have got this thing on PC because it looks really good. The Scorpion camouflage here is very nice on this tank. I do like it. It's a very deserty style camo, but it does have the desert scorpions on the, I suppose you could call it a turret. But yeah, my luck is either really good or really bad, and I will explain why as I go through the stats here. So, yes, Tier 8 German tank destroyer, turreted, which is unusual. So it has got 1220 HP with, what is it, improved assembly, there you go, which ups the HP at the expense of not buffing your armour, which in this tank doesn't really matter compared to, let's say, the Jag. That's got 1400 compared to, I'll have to go into the tech tree for this because I don't have a lot of Tier 8 tank destroyers. Let's go into other turret tank destroyers. Waffle. No, not the Waffle, the Rheinmetall. That has got 1100. Bearing in mind we do have the improved assembly buff on here, which adds 70 HP. So it normally has 1150 HP compared to the T28 Prot, which has got the same. And compared to, let's pick one more thing, a Russian tank destroyer. Is there any turreted? No, there is not. You do have the Su-101, which is 1100, and that is 1000. So, yes, compared to the Charioteer, which has also got 1100, this tank destroyer does have slightly more HP than its comrades. It's got the same as the other German, was it? And it also has got not as good HP as the Jag, because this is basically just a Tier 9 Jag Tiger scaled down slightly. So it doesn't quite have as much as the Jag or the ATs for the British line, the original non-turreted British tank destroyer line. However, it does have decent enough HP for survival. And you'll need it, because this tank does not know what armour is. I doubt this would even constitute as bulletproof armour. 14 all round on the turret, 30 on the hull, 16 on the sides, 20 for some reason on the rear. Don't ask me why, and don't ask me where the 16mm of, or 14mm of rear turret armour is, because it ain't got a rear of the turret. Yeah, this thing, you will notice, does look a bit like a Panther. If we get up the Panther 2, bam! Similarity, well, not really similarities, because there's side skirt on there, but yeah, it does look a lot like a Panther, and that's because it's probably based on the Panther, but on doing so they stripped all the armour off of it and went, yes, this is good tank. Yeah, weak spot, the entire tank. You're not stopping anything at Tier 1, let alone at Tier 8, 9 and 7. Anything and everything will go through this tank. High explosive, loves this tank. You know, especially high explosive from big guns like these things. Especially high explosive from, let's have a look, even at Tier 7, my best old buddy the Tankenstein with its 130, which does have a 600 alpha with its high explosive shell. A single shell from this tank will do over half damage to this Skorpion G. It will absolutely wipe out this tank. 2 shots from that and it's dead, because that's big old high explosive for you. Yeah, this tank does not know the concept of armour. I assume when designing this tank, which is a blueprint tank, when the German designers were doing this tank, they probably thought, what's the biggest gun we can fit in this? Oh, let's see, a 128. What we have to do, strip all the armour. That's fine. We don't need armour, so they sort of just did that and stuck a weird turret on it. So yeah, it's not the best looking turret in the world. It does have a massive slit right there for the gun. But the gun is very good, but armour not so much. it's got decent enough concealment, I suppose. Even though it is still a rather big tank destroyer. As for mobility, it is rather mobile. If you wanted to, you could use this as a very high damage, very low armour medium tank, because it is, after all, based off of the medium tank. It is basically a Panther, except with a bigger gun and no armour. So it does have a 31 kilometers per hour average speed with a 55 top and a 20 reverse. It also has got a 16.2 power to weight at 42 tons with a 18 degrees per second turret traverse. So you're not going to be turn fighting any other mediums, and it does have a 33 degrees per second hull traverse with a nearly 700 horsepower engine compared to, let's say, the Panther 2, which is a dedicated medium tank, which has got the same 55, 20 and 31 average speed. It's got a worse power to weight, it weighs more, it does have a better hull and turret traverse, and it does have a slightly more beefier engine. However, it is, a worse power to weight, so it will climb hills slower. But then the traverse is better on it. Even so, you can still technically, I suppose, wolfpack with this thing. If you find it's not doing you very well for being a tank destroyer, which sometimes happens, you can use it like an assault gun / a really big gunned medium, which is like the Blaze. The Blaze, I find, never wants to work as a tank destroyer until it does. Which is a strange way of putting it, but basically this 122 on the Blaze is very dangerous when it hits, but it hits very rarely, because if we have a look at the Blaze quick, at the gun, where is it? Fire, yes, the gun has got a 0.29 aim time and a 0.35 accuracy, which is not too bad. It might have been buffed actually, I swear it was worse. But yeah, if you find out that it's not doing well as a tank destroyer, like this thing often does, you can play it like a very ballsy medium with no armour and a very big gun, and that's pretty much the summary of the Skorpion G. It can be used as a very dangerous medium tank which has got no armour, so you just play peekaboom. Or indeed you just rely on people shooting at other friendlies, not you. So you do have that going for you. So that's a weird way of putting it, but yeah, mobility not too bad is what I'm trying to say. And then we come to the main thing, the 128 Canon 43 L55 gun, which is a very nice gun. It has got a 3.5 second aim time with a 0.3 dispersion, which is super accurate. It's even more accurate than the 17 pounders. That's the thing that stands out for the Skorpion G. When someone says Skorpion G to you, you always say gun, because it has got a very accurate gun and a very dangerous gun with a 10-second reload time, 246 average pen, 311 with APCR and 65 with HE, doing 460 average, 390 with APCR and 600 with high explosive, which makes it, yeah, very dangerous. Not very good gun depression, however, only 6 degrees and 14 degrees elevation upwards. So, yeah, you've got to be careful because you can't crest ridges in this thing. Other people with better gun depression will outclass you, especially if you are trying to do peekaboom strategies. So, yeah, but the gun is very good. It's very accurate and it's very dangerous. And with the 10-second reload time, it's not too shabby compared to the VK, which has got... a 15-second reload, and even the King, where is my King? He's literally right next to the VK. Even the King with a 105 has got just under a 10-second reload. So the DPM of the Skorpion is very good, especially for the amount of damage that it does in that short reload time, 10.23 second reload time, with penetration that is easily able to get through pretty much every tank at tier 8 and most of the tier 9 tanks as well. It is a very dangerous gun indeed, and it is very good. It is certainly the highlight of the gun. So if you haven't been impressed with the tank so far, chop off the bottom bit and keep the top bit, because the top bit is very, very good. And that's pretty much the basic overview of the tank. No armour, pretty mobile, and a very dangerous gun. It is pretty much live fast, die young, is what the Skorpion G boils down to, because if you play it like a medium, you will die very quickly, but you will do a lot of damage at the same time. So yeah, there's that. As for consumables, you've got your standard repair, first aid, fire. As for the appearance, you've got the legendary war paint, which is the stinging, which gives it the actual proper scorpion on it. But you do have some very nice very nice camos such as this lovely crisp black dragon and the very strange woodland ranger. So you do have those available to you. As for provisions, you've of course got standard and improved fuel for 3 and 10% respectively to crew mastery, and then you've got chocolate bar and chocolate for 3 and 10. Those are for the crew mastery, 3 and 10%, and then standard and improved fuel is for 10% to engine power and turret traverse. That's it. And then protective kit is all of that stuff. So you can go ahead, mount them if you want. I wouldn't bother with protective kits though, as a word of warning for this tank, because anything that hits you is going to do mass damage, especially HE. So there's that. As for ammo, you do carry 30 rounds of ammo, which is not actually that much. You probably won't find yourself running out of ammo, but you will find yourself running low, especially in a big battle, and if you're having to carry your team somehow in a Skorpion, where if you get shot, you will die. So something to be, you don't have to necessarily be very careful with your ammo, but you do want to keep an eye on what rounds you are expending where. Try not to miss too many of them if it's a long battle. So yeah, there's something to note. And then as for equipment, you've got gun rammer is going to be needed. You don't need calibrated shells at this tier. Gun rammer is a better option in my opinion. And then improved modules for the extra track durability and the minus 20% to damage from ramming, because it's a very lightly armoured tank. Anyone who rams you will do more damage than you do to them with the ram. Do be aware of that. So if you are the last one alive, those lights and mediums will ram you to death. I am fairly certain of it, because they have got a much higher chance of surviving, whereas you don't, even if you are on full health. So yeah, the decrease in damage from ramming is going to be very useful to you, and also the extra track durability, because if this thing gets detracked, it is dead, especially in the open. So you do want to keep that going. Camo net, because it is the definition of a sniping tank destroyer. No armour, with good mobility for relocating, and a very dangerous, accurate, high damage, high penetration gun. It is the epitome of sniping. If you like sniping, you will love this tank. So camo net is going to be the way to go. But if you are going for a different build and you do instead want to be the very high damage medium tank, improved optics is going to be for you. Alternatively, if you want to spot your own targets as a sniper, coated optics is going to be for you. But otherwise, if you're going to play it as a sniper, which I will try and do, camo net is going to be the way to go. You don't need the enhanced gun lane drive, because yeah, you've already got very good aim time. So I would say supercharged to the decrease in penetration loss over distance and the extra shell velocity as well for making those snapshots, because it's pretty good at firing on the move. Actually, it's got pretty good snapshot capabilities. Not as good as the mouse, which is like laser accurate when firing on the move, but even so, supercharge is going to be very useful. Do I even need to explain this middle one? No. If you're taking enhanced armor on this tank, sell it, because it is useless on this tank. Whoopie-doo, you can go from 14 mil of turret armor to 15. That's really going to stop those 128 rounds from Mouses and VKs and those like 120 rounds from T-34s coming at you. Yeah, no. Don't even bother looking at anything other than improved assembly for the extra HP, because that is what's going to save you. If anything, you will want that extra 70 HP. And then engine accelerator for the slightly better average top speed and the better all-round buff to your hull to reverse your engine power and your power to weight. Because you could go with improved control, but I would say engine accelerator is probably the more beneficial to this tank, because it gives you a buff over all of them, not just traverse. If the traverse was really bad, like 20 degrees per second, then I would say go with improved control. But otherwise, engine accelerator is probably the better deal there. And then vertical stabilizers, because more accurate is still accurate enough on this tank, so you don't need a refined gun. Take it down to 0.27 accuracy, unless you're really paranoid at missing a shot, in which case go for that. But otherwise, vertical stabilizers for the extra, for the better accuracy during movement and turret traverse is going to be useful. Because don't forget, only a 16 degrees per second turret traverse, so you're going to probably need to make a lot of snapshots on the traverse with the turret if you're trying to catch up with someone, or if you suddenly see someone out the corner of your eye who is suddenly stationary and you want to take that snapshot, bam, then you will need vertical stabilizers. So yeah, vert stabs for that. And then enhanced tracks, yeah, you could go with either one of those, to be honest, with this tank, but I think enhanced tracks is going to be more useful, and then your choice of whatever the hell those two things are. So yes, overall, for this tank, it is, yeah, sort of polar opposites, you could describe it as, because it is, on the one hand, a very dangerous sniper with a very dangerous gun, but on the other hand, it is not very well armoured at all, is an understatement of massive proportions. But it is, however, very mobile, so it works well as a sniper or as a very mobile medium tank with a very dangerous gun, which, you know, suits both people's playstyles, I suppose you could say. So yes, that is it for the Skorpion G. Yeah, it's a decent enough tank. It's a very nice sniper tank. It is the epitome of it, and it is a very nice tank destroyer as well. And it looks very nice as well in this camo. So yes, there is that. So I'll thank you all for watching, and goodbye.